Rebel Force Radio presents
Experimental Unit Clone Force 99. The defective clones with desirable mutations. They call themselves the Bad Batch.
The Bad Batch.
This is the Bad Batch After Show.
Shut, everybody. Welcome back to the Bad Batch After Show on a beautiful Friday night. And what a show it was. My gosh, we could have played Bad Batch Bingo. What are the things that we've been waiting for over the last several weeks that we got? We got Kaminoans. We got more Imperials. What's up with them? We got to see Admiral Brian. That's how I'm going to call Rampart. I'm just going to call him Brian. He's the most nondescript, vanilla, generic-looking character I've ever seen in a TV show with a major part. So I'm going to just call him. I'm going to call him Brian. What else would you get? We got Stormtroopers versus Clone Troopers, and we got a reunion of Crosshair with some of the Bad Batch, at least one of the Bad Batch. The only thing we really didn't get that would have been on my bingo card is a little bit more information about Omega. Still waiting for them to sort of maybe more closely define what it is that makes Omega so special. We know that there's something special about her, but we don't know exactly what it is. We have some theories. And by we, I mean, of course, myself. My name is Jason, and with me, my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. How y'all doing tonight? Wow, what an episode, huh? I think this there were a lot of boxes checked off of my list that I was happy to see. There were a few irritants in this episode, too, which I'll be very specific about, but I'm not going to open with any kind of negativity. Trust me, folks, I got something coming, but it's not that big a deal. All in all, I thought this was a fantastic episode. I loved seeing we're now witnessing the legitimate transition from a clone army to what becomes Imperial stormtroopers. And in such fitting fashion, too, down to the music cues and Ralph McQuarrie concept armor. So, I mean, wow, that blew me away. I'm just thinking about it. I'm getting the goosebumps. So it was just wonderful to see the McQuarrie gear on full display. And
the music, I couldn't believe. Well, yeah, I mean, yes, and I am proud of myself that I recognize the McQuarrie Concept Trooper armor, because typically that stuff goes right over my head, but I go, I've seen that before. So I went and actually found my action figure of the McQuarrie Trooper, but it was cool. The only thing that they were missing were the laser swords, really. I mean, they looked, right. They had those laser swords, but...
and shields.
Oh, and the shields. I wouldn't be surprised if those shields show up. I don't think they'll do the laser sword thing, but the shields would be very cool. But yeah, man, the sound effects and the music, and the visual design of that base, I thought I was on the Death Star, and that there was, those were regular TK units running around. It was fantastic. Loved that.
Yeah. I just love the music cues, music we haven't heard since A New Hope.
Yep.
I don't think they've been reappropriated anywhere else in Star Wars animation or live action since they were used in A New Hope. If somebody knows otherwise, let us know. We'll be taking calls later on, or just pop into chat here on YouTube and throw your comments up there. We're looking at those during the show. Tyler is at his home base, and he's screening calls right now. We'll be getting the calls in just a little bit.
Hey, Chut, Tyler.
Here's Tyler.
Oh, I think he's screening right now. He's busy.
He's already working.
Yeah, we don't want to disturb him. He's already disturbed enough.
So it's good to see. He's down there with the thing. One ringy dingy. He did look like the Time Life operator there for a second. Right?
Was that a Laugh-In reference? I mean, man,
yeah,
oh
it
man,
was.
yeah.
I think that was.
I love it.
Who was that who played
that? Was
Ruth
Buzzy.
Was it Ruth?
Was it Ruth? I think Ruth Buzzy. I can't wait to see the comments in the chat. Who the heck is Ruth Buzzy? Yeah, no, it was, but yeah, let's do the tail of the tape because we've got so much. I've got the number on the screen. So if you are within the sound of our voices here, as I say, as we record live here on this Friday evening, please give us a call, 708-320. That's the other number. Read what's on the screen, Burgundy. 708-866-1737. That's 708-866-1737. Give us a call. Tyler, our official call screener and program observer, will take your call and get the message to us, and we'll pop you on. We do love to get Patreon members up front in the queue, and also if you're a first-time caller, we want to get you guys to the head of the line. Lily Tomlin, not Ruth Buzzy.
I just couldn't let it hang out there.
I'm getting my late 60s, early 70s comedy divas mixed up. Yeah, Lily Tomlin. All right, we are talking about Star Wars The Bad Batch, still in season 1, of course, in episode 14. And this seems to be the first, as Jimmy Mack has been saying all along, the first act in likely a 3-act finale, taking us all the way into 16 episodes. Original air date, July 30th, 2021. For those of you listening to this in the future, and a runtime, a solid 29 minutes, directed by Stuart Lee and written by Damani Johnson. And just as a reminder, because it is important for some people, we are still, with the Bad Batch, we are 19 years before the Battle of Yavin, just to put you in the right context. Jim, I think right out of the gate, I think when you get this close to the end of a season, it's like, all right, this really is put up or shut up time. Had this been more of a toss away episode, which would be really difficult given the title, because this title, War Mantle, goes back to, I believe, the if not the first episode, one of the first 3 episodes of the series. I think it was the premiere. Where
also goes back to Rogue One.
That's right. It goes back. There is a passing reference to it. Yes, that's right, in Rogue One. But we now know what it is, and it is this. It is an initiative to replace the clone troopers with conscripted recruits from across the galaxy that are loyal to the Empire. And I have a question, something that was a little unclear to me. And maybe I mean, I don't know if I'm just a conspiracy guy or what, but when I saw those little Daniel Logan clones being frog marched off to God knows where, I started asking myself, well, where are they going? And then they're asking like, oh, we're going to be going off. Well, I guess we're still soldiers. I mean, it was, and I feel like that they're just cattle going off to slaughter, or are they going off to train conscripted troops? I couldn't make up my mind which is going on, because I feel that they're going to need, I feel this is going to get more sinister real quick. I think that there's going to be certain element of clone captains, commanders, ranking officers. They're going to be used for training, and I think the rest of them are going to be done away with, and potentially in a pretty big way. I mean, like, I'm talking about genocide. Potentially. You think they'll go there?
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe not necessarily march kids into a firing squad or anything like that. And speaking about the Daniel Logan clones, where was Logan's voice in this? That's my big complaint. Where the hell was Daniel Logan's voice in this episode?
It was a pitched up D. Baker.
D. Baker pitched up. Yeah. I mean, this is a production that's gone out of its way to bring in Rena Owen, the original voice of Taun We, to do like two words of dialogue maybe.
Yeah.
And they can't get Logan to voice his character? What's that all about? I'm weirded out about that. I don't know anything about it. I haven't spoken to Daniel about it or anything, and I probably won't, but it's just I don't. That didn't sit well with me. So.
Yeah, I agree, because as soon as I saw as we refer to them, the Daniel Logan clones walking through, I thought for sure, I'm like, oh, cool, we're going to hear Daniel Logan. I'm with you on that. And it threw me off. I was like, that's just sounds weird. So it's an odd one. I've got another conspiracy theory I'm going to throw at you, and you tell me what you think, and we'll get to the calls here in just a moment. And Number 2.
Rampart did say mobilize the clones that we can use, though. He said mobilize the soldiers, the viable soldiers or something like that. He said something like that. So that
every available clone be mobilized.
Yes.
Available clones. So that would include them. So maybe my thoughts were a little too dark. So maybe they are being sent to what was it? Darrow. Durand. I've got Durand on the mind. Darrow to take part in this training. Here's another one okay, so maybe I came up 0 on that one. But Did you
say 0? I just want to remind everyone that this is the last day to become eligible. There's my armpit, because I keep 0 up there, But here he is. I forgot all about him. You reminded me, Thwank. This is the last day to become eligible to win.
Oh, and you want to win this
I
thing.
didn't do the warm-up. A senator in this neighborhood? Okay, there I am. I'm back.
You got to check it out.
The last day to become eligible to win. Me. Take me home with you.
Oh, man. That's it.
But look at this thing. This is a hand-sculpted, hand-painted 0 the Hutt.
And this isn't the one you win, by the way. This is Jimmy Mac's personal version.
Mine, because you could see he's kind of chipped and stuff.
He does have that little chip, but
I'm not easy to live with. But yeah, you'll get your own, and just be an RFR patron and find the picture of 0 the Hutt and put in the comments. I want to party with 0 the Hutt. We're gonna choose the winner at random next week. Okay, back to your regularly scheduled. Oh, see, it's better if I use my left arm to reach up here. You don't get. Oh, you get a little bit of arm.
I got some
Okay.
pit. Yeah.
Back to your regularly scheduled after show.
All right. So this whole thing between Nala Se and Lama Su. So is Nala Se really that sloppy that as she was making these plans to get, some of her fellow scientists and Lama Su off world, or did she rat him out? I wonder if she ratted him out, because it certainly didn't work out so well for him, as he was very likely killed once those doors shut. So that was something I thought of, because they don't give you any details about what they do. See her like packing a suitcase. Is it like when Finn got caught by Rose in Last Jedi, trying to take off? Yeah, I mean, so I just wondered if it was really Nala Se wanting to maybe play the long game, if she thought that, or there's a theory that she's been in cahoots with Darth Sidious. She may still think of, Palpatine could be playing the Darth Sidious game at this stage.
Oddly,
the duology.
I agree. I think you're right. I would love to see shades of that appear even in these final 2 episodes. But oddly enough, I'm just looking at this stuff more on surface value.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking the former. I'm thinking that they were just sloppy.
Okay.
And I think they were, the Empire has eyes and ears everywhere. And I think they were just being sloppy. Because Nala Se didn't look too happy to get walked away, to become a scientist.
But why would
working
they
for
keep
the
her?
Empire? Probably sent to work on the Death Star project right away.
Well, okay, all right. So that's a good thought, because I was thinking very surface about her, saying, well, they clearly don't want cloners anymore. They've canceled all the contracts that they have with the Kaminoans.
Yeah.
But maybe, like you're saying, maybe it's not the fact that she's a cloner. Maybe it's just she's a geneticist, scientist, what have you, and they could use her for something down the line.
Or, the whole Snoke thing and Palpatine and all that, of course. Incorporate her into that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it could be. Yeah. It could be. Anyway,
I'm thinking the Death Star project. Really, it just because he was specific. He didn't say we need a cloner. We need a scientist.
That's right. He did say, I don't. Yeah, yeah. He goes, I don't need I need a scientist. I don't need another politician. And yeah. One other thing before we go to the calls that I noted, and even in the breakdown that you'll find of these episodes online, they talk about these stun blasts. They're calling them stun blasts in the description. So whenever you see that O-shaped thing that kind of disorients the trooper, they're clearly doing that, and it's a clear choice because when you see Gregor hit, it's the typical red blaster bolt that kind of sparks and flames up when it hits him. So it's very clear, certainly not in the story, but very clear by the visuals that this is something that the Bad Batch are almost exclusively using. I mean, even Wrecker's big, automatic blaster was shooting out the blue-colored stun bolts.
No, he came out of that ship and he was shooting normal blaster bolts at the stormtroopers.
I didn't see them going down. I didn't see the troopers going. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, they came in and the door flew open and Wrecker was there with heavy artillery and he came out with normal blaster bolts.
But were any of them going down?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he mowed them down. But the rest of them were using the stun blast.
See, this is why it makes no sense to me. It's not making any sense to me at all. So why then
it's really this is tricky, and I personally don't like this overusage of stun blast going on here. I think it makes the show look soft, but it's really been, keep in mind, folks, Star Wars, and it's very comic booky sort of violence if you're going to get bent out of shape about gun violence in animated shows, laser blasts, etc.
Yeah.
We as an audience have been pretty much conditioned for 40 years. We're not that soft, so don't dumb it down for us, please. And that's what it feels like is happening to me. And people are getting bent out of shape about this online either way. I can look at it in universe and say, well, the clones don't want to harm other clone troopers.
But these weren't clone troopers.
There were clone commandos.
Yeah.
Among those TKs. And I think when Wrecker was using normal blaster bolts, he was only taking out the TKs. He wasn't taking out any.
Oh, come on. Really?
I don't know. I mean, because I'm trying to find... I'm
not doubting you when I say that. I'm not doubting you at all. I'm just like, oh, come on. Like,
I'm trying to find a rationale for why these stun bolts are being overused because I find it to be extremely distracting.
Yeah.
And I don't like the sound effect. I love the classic blaster bolt sound effect. We've all seen that video of Ben Burt at the tower with the high tension wires tapping it with a microphone and creating that iconic sound. It's almost music to my ears in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And when you have that interspersed with that, it's just like, oh my God. It loses its rhythm to me. And blaster bolts were only really seen once in all of the 6 original George Lucas Star Wars films, and that was at the very beginning of A New Hope when Leia blasted that stormtrooper. And I'm looking at it now as some sort of way to soften up some of the violence in the show. I see it more as some device that was approved by some advocacy group, and that to me hurts the integrity of how these battles go down. So I've seen enough of the stun blast in this show.
Yeah.
I think we're all big boys and girls here. We understand. It's all make-believe. These are blaster bolts.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Just a TV
let's step
show.
up, Disney Company. Let's step up, Lucasfilm. Don't dumb down Star Wars, please.
All right.
You already have.
Let's go to the phones. Let's talk to a first-time caller and a Patreon supporter, Robbie from Maryland. Welcome to Rebel Force Radio. Robbie, thanks for calling.
Hey, Jason.
Chuck.
Excuse me. How are you guys?
Oh, doing great.
Yeah. Hi. So I'm just first of all, I just want to say I've been Patreon supporter for a little bit, 2 months now.
Thank you.
And I listened to your Clone Wars Roundtables uploads, podcasts, and those have been really great, helping me get through a tough time in the job and in general. So just want to say thanks for all the great work you do. For the Star Wars community, I mean, you guys are great pair of podcasters, and I really appreciate it. So it's just nice to have a little something to listen to while things aren't going the best, to kind of distract myself and stuff. So and enjoy, it's great content too. So
thank you. Well, we're here for you, brother.
Yeah, and thanks for being here for us.
Yeah.
So what'd you think about this episode, man?
Thanks, guys. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought I was watching, and as soon as I saw inside, I was like, no way. Is that the Death Star? And I heard the music, which was really surprised me as well.
Yes.
And I thought that was also well, okay, this is really cool. This is episodes on another level. But there's a couple of things that stood out to me, I guess I want to talk about. One was, I think for a while now, at least some fans have wondered how the Bad Patch compare to the Clone Commandos, because they're both elite units and they're both trained, more so than the regular clones and more highly skilled. And I thought it was interesting that Hunter took down a couple of them pretty pretty well. I think it's kind of interesting to see that debate kind of settled almost. And then the other thing was, towards the end, I think they were, studying the clones up until that point, up until the show. But when Wrecker came in, to rescue them, he was using his normal blaster gun and live ammo. So I'm just kind of found that to be a little curious. I'm wondering, are they going to keep just stunning the clones and the recruited units now, or are they going to slowly switch to shoot to kill?
Well, do you think? We were just chatting about this, and I misread that scene with Wrecker coming in. I thought he was also shooting those, and I'm wrong, obviously. So the question is that a transitional moment where they realize, is that done for dramatic reasons, that they realize that this is the stakes are higher now than they've ever been. They're not up against their brothers anymore. They're up against people that are just loyal to this evil fascist empire, which completely different. So it's a good thought. What's your theory, Robbie?
Yeah, I think they're going to slowly transition to shoot to kill, because I think they were studying because it's okay, these guys are under control of the chip. They're not doing this of their own volition. But once and you could see in the episode they were kind of very surprised about the replacements coming in for the clones and all of that. And so I think they were slowly going to realize, well, these guys, they aren't our brothers anymore, and they don't necessarily deserve the same kind of treatment. Right. As our brothers do. These guys really are, evil and out to get us of their own free will. They not volunteered, but they were conscripted by the Empire and are willingly. Right. Or, I would imagine it was almost some of them are willingly enforcing their will. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Robbie. Really appreciate it. Thanks for those really kind words, especially, and your support as a Patreon. It makes me wonder, or it makes me think rather, that by using the stun bolts, and again, I know this makes some people uncomfortable when we're talking about it as if it's making some sort of stand or stance, but I'm looking at it from all different points of view. One being that, could it be used for storytelling purposes, and could it be used to tell us something about the Bad Batch? Could their use, their reliance on these stun bolts be sort of kind kind of a symbol in some ways of how they're reading the moment. Is this a temporary moment? If they can just get through to the next mission, eventually all these clones might come to their senses, or they'll be able to find a cure or something. Are they trying to save as many of their brothers from oblivion because they're, in the back of their minds, they're thinking that there could be a reunification of some sort? That would be hard. And I could hear, if Dave Filoni was here, I could hear him saying something like, well, just imagine, at the end of World War II, and you're like, you fought arm in arm with these guys, and all of a sudden it's the 5 of you against all of them, and, would you be killing them? And, I get it. I totally get it. But I think that if you're going to do that, and that then let us know, say it, because it is, I think, important enough. But it does make me wonder if the Bad Batch might be thinking that this is something that is not forever, in other words. And
right. But none of that has been explained in any line of dialogue that we've seen in these first 14 episodes. Nor have they discussed anything about not wanting to harm their brothers, better use stun blasts. I mean, none of that's been discussed either. We're just assuming all of that. But I don't know. I just think it's unprecedented in Star Wars to have that kind of thing going on. I think we saw a little bit of it in the Clone Wars, though, if I remember correctly. There was they were trying to take out Ahsoka in the season toward the end of season 5 in that story arc where she walked away from the Jedi Temple, and she was being pursued by clone troopers who were trying to stun her, and she was dodging those stun blasts. But that made sense within the context of the story. They didn't want to kill her. They wanted to take her in. Just
like when we see Leia get hit with the stun in episode 4. Yeah, they clearly wanted her taken alive. And bring me those passengers. I want them alive.
Yeah, there's no context for what's going on here other than our assumptions that they don't want to hurt their brothers.
Right.
So...
right. Just a few.
But as it turns out, there aren't that many brothers left, especially in that mountain. There were 100 or something.
Well, there were
50.
Yeah, there were
commandos.
There were 50. 50 command clones and 1,000 TKs.
Yeah, I loved the moment of realization. Well, what's a TK?
Yeah,
I love that stuff.
Yeah, right.
That's a designation I'm not familiar with. Hey, they gave Echo a little something to do in this episode for the first time in several. They let him plug into a wall and things like that.
Well, and he did he did deliver that point when they were ready to, cut and run. He said, "Look, you didn't cut and run, when faced with this type of adversity with me, and I'm glad you didn't." So he's like, and I actually highlighted that part because he says if there's a clone being held against his will here, then we owe it to have to rescue them. And I thought, will. You're hearing the clone troopers talking here in this case about their own wishes, their own will, their own destinies, as opposed to sort of we're basically grown to serve the Republic. So I thought that was some interesting dialogue. Also, that they're still working for Sid at this point. There's a line where they say, "Hey, we're on a job for Sid, and we're taking this diversion because we got this thing from Rex." And they do clarify that they're working for Sid because they need money, and they need money for food and all of that. Right?
They'll starve just like anyone else. Right. So the Empire. I don't think that their welfare programs are that great, or maybe they're spectacular. I don't know. But as a clone trooper, they can't cash in on any of that sort of stuff.
Right.
And so they have to eat popcorn. Apparently, that's all they eat is popcorn, and that fuels them to their next mission.
They're like so many ladies in my office around 1:00 in the afternoon. Here comes the popcorn.
Oh my God!
And the microwaves.
They should ban microwavable popcorn in office buildings because you're sitting there, you're working hard, you're trying to get the job done, and all of a sudden the whole place smells like the movie theater multiplex.
Yeah,
It's so maddening, that popcorn at work business. And also stop bringing in your leftovers from Red Lobster.
Oh,
that
God.
stinking up the place either.
The leftovers.
That has nothing to do with Star Wars.
No, it doesn't.
Unless
It
we're
doesn't.
talking about calamari, which is kind of loosely based on Star Wars. And
Now-
by the way, did I tell you I had a beer called the Admiral Ack beer? It was delicious.
No kidding.
Imperial
Wow.
Oak Brewing. Fabulous.
Admiral Ackbeer. All right. Omega, in character, truly in character, points out that Wrecker's friend, your friend's in trouble. We must save him. It's more important than getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get Bailey down here. She does the best Australian accent.
She,
but
cool.
She does. But yeah, so there she is saying, look, there are things that are more important. So she, again, playing this role of the heart, the conscience, maybe, the Jiminy Cricket of the Bad Batch.
Yeah, she is definitely their moral center. That's
Right.
for sure.
Right.
And there's that connection between her and Hunter.
Uh-huh.
So, you see as she has influence over him, his character responds. It's almost as if they're connected, like a Force dyad without the Force.
Yeah.
But we don't know. The Force works in mysterious ways. Very mysterious ways. So they go back for Gregor, and this is the first time we're seeing Gregor alive in the timeline.
Right.
Following the events of his Clone Wars appearance during the Gascon Lost in the Void arc, Sunny Day in the Void arc. That was the only Clone Wars appearance he made. And he apparently perished in this giant explosion during a battle with hundreds of battle droids at a separatist facility that had their ship. They needed this ship to escape. And so Gregor, for the droid, what was the name of it? The D Squad, for Gascon in the D Squad to escape in the ship, Gregor,
Gascon.
voiced by Stephen Stanton.
Right.
Who's amazing in it, because I went back and watched Missing in Action this morning after I saw Gregor had made his appearance. That's been one good thing about the Bad Batch is when these characters show up, you like to go back and see their last appearance.
And Disney Plus makes it so easy.
It's
because
so
it's
easy.
all right there. Yeah, it
is so
great.
easy. So I did watch Missing in Action just because I really wanted to be up to speed with where Gregor was at. And he's a different Gregor, definitely, than the one we see in the Clone Wars.
Does he still have that giggle thing going on?
No, he didn't really have that in the Clone Wars. And he was also a clone commando, keep in mind. He was a clone commando. Remember, he had that helmet that had all the hash marks on it. And like a hockey mask.
Yeah.
And he perished in that episode. That was his first and only appearance until he showed up as part of Rex's crew in Rebels.
Yeah, right, of course. Yeah, that's what
he was really loopy in that one.
Yeah. So something is progressing, I think, with Gregor.
But we still don't know how he survived that explosion.
Wow.
That, when it appeared
clearly
he
took its toll.
sacrificed himself. Clearly, yeah, but I mean, they said, you'll be remembered, Captain Gregor, for your sacrifice. They made it very clear that he died in that. I mean, but I guess they didn't see the body or anything. They were escaping, so somehow maybe he found a manhole cover and removed it and jumped into it right when the explosion happened. There's a million different ways to break it all down.
There's another line that that Gregor gives, and he has a lot of goofy lines, but this one I thought was really important when he says, "Well, if you ask me, the clone troopers who are loyal to the Emperor or the Empire are the real defective clones."
Yeah.
So
like that.
Again, we're there's this distinction that exists between Order 66 and the betrayal of the Jedi and loyalty to the Empire. I guess maybe it's just me. I just always assumed it was sort of one and the same. It was part of the same programming, this blind loyalty to the Empire and the eradication of the Jedi, but it doesn't seem to be the case. It does seem to be much more more specific, where it's specific to the Jedi, and then all bets are off after that. It seems like now that there are no Jedi, then their free will and their own personal morality or whatever is there to flourish or express itself, whatever. Let's go. Let's get some more calls. We've got some. We got some good ones here. Okay, how about Felicia? First time caller Felicia on with Rebel Force Radio on this Friday night, talking about Bad Batch. Hello there. Chut. How are you?
Chut.
I'm good, and yourself?
We're doing great. Doing great.
I'm glad. I just wanted, so you were speaking about why they would need, what's her name? Not Lama Su, but the other
Nalase.
Yeah, you were speaking about why would they want her for the cloning, and you mentioned Snoke. But I was thinking, and this is a theory before the Bad Batch the season even started, was about how they cloned, what's his name, Grogu, and how Grogu is some sort of clone, or they need him to be cloned,
right?
And that she would be helping, and that was like a theory that was going around. Not her, but that Grogu would be appearing in the Bad Batch because of some clone, like the way it would just intertwine in some sort of way.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. There's no question that despite the military arm of the Empire turning away from a reliance on cloning, there's no question that certainly Palpatine is very much interested in cloning. So the memo might not have gotten out. The only thing that Rampart may know is that he's to preserve the technology that was used to create the clone army. He may not even know why, but that could be just sort of his orders. And there's something more, nefarious to it, because Palpatine wants, he's starting to already think about, achieving immortality, or, maybe he's already feels that Vader's a loser and he wants another crack at an apprentice, you never know, but well, I think that it's fairly well established that, Palpatine is a little less than thrilled with the Vader that he ends up with compared to what, he thought he was going to have. But no, I think you're absolutely right that there is still need by the Empire for this technology. But it's just funny that it's playing out at a time when they seem to be turning their back on it too.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I also need to bring up something, because the season is ending soon, and a while ago, like, people were, you guys, we were all theorizing who's going to be making a cameo and in the Bad Batch, and I think it was a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and Sam Witter, the voice of Maul, had actually tweeted out like a GIF saying, "I don't know what's up my sleeve," or something, responding to a tweet about the Bad Batch. And it got me thinking that Maul is probably going to be coming in this season at some point, because Sam Ritter, I don't know.
Sam Witwer?
Whitworth.
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting. Thanks, Felicia. That's awesome. Thank you very much for calling. I wasn't aware that Sam had tweeted that. It seems like something he might do. Tease a little bit if he knows something that we don't know. Could we see Darth Maul in Clone Wars? Yeah, but or not Clone Wars, rather Bad Batch.
Maul in a few places, actually.
Yeah, right. Stay tuned. But I would say that if I had to pick, we've just seen this. It's not that I don't want to see Maul. I just think that Maul always gets this great big build-up, and it's always Maul. So if we're going to have a big build-up towards the end of this season, at the end of the season for a cameo, it's like you've already done this with Maul. You can bring Maul in. You could bring him in the 4th episode of season 2. It doesn't matter. But if you're going to have a build-up, I want somebody else.
I want somebody who would directly affect the Bad Batch. Somebody who they may have a connection with, even loosely. And that could be a Boba Fett, who's essentially a brother of theirs. I don't think Boba Fett looks at it quite that way, though. I think Boba Fett might even look down on clones. That's something that's never really been explored, is Boba Fett's relationship with the other clones who have age acceleration and programming and all this stuff. As far as we know, Jango raised Boba, and he wasn't exposed to those headsets that program them or even a chip. He didn't get a chip in his head, one of those inhibitor chips.
Right.
So what does Boba Fett think of other clones? They all share the same facial features and everything, but that's never really been explored, has it?
No, you're right. Does he?
There's been some throwaway lines in comic books or novels and stuff, but I'm not talking about that.
Yeah, does he feel any kinship towards them? Does he feel any affinity? Or is it the opposite? Is it too painful for him to look at them because of what he might see,
himself.
He sees himself, he sees his dad, I guess.
He sees his dad.
That's kind of what I was wondering. Let's see. We got some super chats in here. I want to get to these. Jamie Johnson, very very kind. Thank you, Jamie, saying, Chut, did they ever lose their original weapons and only have stunners?
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, maybe they picked up blasters that were only capable of stunning. But again, none of that's been explained in any of the dialogue. And now it's been, 3 episodes where they're really hooked on this stun blast. I mean, these guys are abusing it. They're hitting
it's
it
a lot.
Much,
It's a lot. Javier,
in the real world, I believe in non-lethal force, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not making any real-world statements. Trust me on that. Non-lethal is the only way to do it. But in Star Wars, like I said, we've been conditioned for 40 years to expect something. And I just love that musical sound of a well-orchestrated blaster battle.
Yeah, it's just not quite the same with the big blue donut. Javier Solorzano says, come on, make it rain super chats. Don't do it for Jason or Jimmy. Do it for the Force.
I love Javier. Now, see, he's done this multiple weeks now.
Yeah.
I love it. I love him. He's given us his allowance.
Look at right. So hey, I only got $5 left in my bank account. Make it rain super chats.
Thanks, Javier. He rocks. He's a rock star, Javier.
Yeah, Javier. There you go. Javier. Yeah. Hey, super chat us and tell us, give us the phonetic pronunciation of your name. No, you don't have to super chat it. I'm just kidding. All right, let's take another call here. We got first-time caller Patrick calling in from Georgia. Hello, Patrick. Welcome to Rebel Force Radio.
How's it going?
All right, man. What's going on?
Hey, nothing much. Long-time listener, first-time caller. You guys are freaking awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All the time, especially your 0 to 100 impression we did earlier.
Yes. Thank you. That's all you're going to get.
So since Hunter... Oh, I'm sorry. What?
No. Please, continue.
Oh, so yeah, I was going to say, since Hunter got kidnapped in this episode, I know the Bad Batch had a pretty hard time getting... oh my God, I forgot his name already. Who to get out of there?
Gregor?
Gregor.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a hard time getting Gregor out there, and I wonder if they're going to possibly gather like another crew to try to help get Hunter out there, or will Nala Se find out about this since she is kind of like in the backgrounds of the Empire now, so she was hired as a scientist, and she found out that he got kidnapped, so she hires Fennec Shan, and maybe she brings in Boba Fett, and Boba Fett's like, what girl clone, or what do you mean my sister?
We keep
try to get her out.
We keep waiting for that. We keep hoping for that. I like what you're saying about would they get reinforcements, and it would be kind of like how they've done on Mando, where as the stakes get ratcheted up, Mando has to go back and sort of bring in some of the folks that he's met. So could we get Sid coming in to, I don't know what help she might be, but you never know. I mean, she seemed like, when they were down in that tunnel, she seemed to be pretty good in a scrap. You could get Sid, you could get some others, maybe those 2 goons that are hanging out with her. Who else have they worked with that could come back and maybe help them out?
I thought about. Now that I said it, I'm like, it might not be a good idea just to have those people come through and help out. But...
I ruined it for you, didn't I? As soon as I explained what it would look like, you're like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that theory is so great.
Top it off with the Martez sisters cameo. And
the Martez sisters, of course. No, but you know what, though? It could be. It very well could be. They call in a favor with Rex, and they say, hey, we got your guy out. Now you got to come and bring that Jedi with you and get our guy out. So maybe it's Ahsoka. And wouldn't we all love to see Ahsoka and voiced by Ashley Eckstein once again? It'd be kind of cool.
Now you're talking.
Good.
Yeah.
Now you're talking.
As far as what the other caller was saying about Darth Maul maybe having an appearance, I know everybody wants Darth Maul to have an appearance, but the only thing I think of is like maybe at the end of the season he'll somehow find out that there's a girl clone out there, and it kind of sets another trigger off of him, because we all know that in the Clone Wars animated series he already knew what Sidious's plan was going to be as far as making clones. So maybe this girl clone coming out in the open will trigger something in him, and as far as the Black Syndicate and all that. So I don't know.
No, could be. Those are some really great theories. I like those a lot. Thank you so much, Patrick from Georgia. Let's see who else we got. Let's go with our buddy Blake. Patreon supporter from Florida. Blake always has great observations and comments. Welcome back to the program, Blake.
Shut. What's going on, guys?
How are you, man?
Hey, Blake.
Doing good. How you guys doing tonight, huh?
Doing great. Doing great. What do you got for us?
Awesome. So I got two things. The first thing you don't have to comment on.
Okay.
I know there's other callers trying to get in. It's a great episode. Lots of people got comments. My first thing I told Tyler I wanted to tell you guys about was Omega for me has become the annoying character that I feared she would become.
Really? Okay.
If you listen back to my earlier calls, I always, there was this like, I don't know what it was. There was actually a YouTuber. I'll actually give him a shout out. Thor Skywalker. If you look at his videos, he actually put my thoughts perfectly. He said that Omega went from finding dirt to be amazing to being the center of decision making for all the clones. And now it just seems like ever since she kind of quote unquote grew up, every episode it's just, well, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? But that's all she's doing, and it's really getting annoying for me. But then again, I'm also a guy in his 30s. I'm a blue collar, truck driver, so maybe it's just where I am in life. I know Jason, you said on this week's or last week's RFR how your daughter loves her, so it may just be where I am. But for me, just that character and what she's become is getting really, really annoying. Whereas before, I was like, man, this character is great because there was that childless delight in all these episodes. Her as a kid discovering all this new stuff, and it's changed, and just her kind of almost like guilting them into doing stuff. So you guys don't have to comment on that. Well,
I do. I will just say quickly, I see your point. I definitely see your point, and it's as you when you draw a circle around it and put an arrow on it, I go, yeah, he does have a point where, could she be having maybe just a little too much influence, and would the guys would the guys have taken them in or taken her in and be the way they are with her if they always needed her to remind them of their heart? So there is something to be said for that.
She represents a moral center for the band, and this is a group of soldiers who take orders, and that's what they were created to do. When Taunwi is walking Obi-Wan Kenobi around in Kamino, and she's showing off all the clones, she said, we've genetically engineered these cats so they don't have individual thought so much as they take orders. They're totally obedient, is what she said. And now you have these soldiers, and they don't have a commanding officer, really. They listen to Hunter. And Hunter, like I said, has that kind of bond with Omega. So I really look at Omega more as an extension of Hunter and where his morality is evolving as a clone. Because clones aren't supposed to have so much free will. And the Jedi gave them their moral center. The Jedi gave them their commands. And the Jedi, I also think, gave them a certain amount of free will by opening them up to the light side of the Force. And that's why I think the clone troopers have become unusable by the Empire, who demand strict obedience. The clones that served during the Clone Wars with the Jedi generals have been corrupted as far as that stuff goes. They have that moral center. And now we have Omega representing that moral center for the band of the Bad Batch. Otherwise, you'd have nothing for her to do.
Yeah,
and there's still the mystery about who she is, what she does, what's her purpose, why was she created, and all of that.
I will say though, I mean, Echo finally got his. He's been he's not been useless, but he's not like had a really big role in any episode up until now. He finally had a voice, and I feel like a lot of the times Omega's kind of like guilting the Bad Batch into, do this for this person, save this person. It could have been Echo. This is a guy who's, been to hell and back, and they've not.
Well, he does though. He does. He does because he's the voice. Yeah. He gives voice to Omega's. He kind of gives voice an extension to. He becomes an extension of Omega's voice when they're ready to bail. But
this episode.
Yeah, right. This episode, but you're right. There's just too much potential crossover between Hunter and Tech, Echo and Tech. And I think they usually end up defaulting and giving the line to Tech. But I know you had another thing, and you said we didn't have to comment on Omega, so I don't want to take up. I don't want to take up any more of your time on that. What was the other thing you wanted to bring to us?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to take up too much of our.
No. It's fine. No. Go for it.
But I did want to comment on. So we saw the Kamino scientists get taken away by the Empire, and what I wanted to ask you guys is kind of been touched on earlier. It's Lisa or one of the callers that commented on earlier, but what the cloning may be with. They said Grogu, but when I called in a couple weeks ago. I think it was that first episode we saw of Fennec Shannon, and I incorrectly assumed that she was hunting Omega now for the Empire. But we had you, Jason, and Jim. We had a really good conversation about, when did the Empire really start digging down on this whole thing for Emperor Palpatine and his backup plan?
Yeah.
And I'm starting to, when I watched this episode, I was like, whoa, hold on a second. Did this backup plan now start now? Did that come up? Did you guys think about that at all when that happened? Like, we really don't know, again, when this whole backup plan for Palpatine started with, his clones and when, all that, I think it's nonsense, but it's canon, so I got to think about it. When that all happened, did that cross your guys' mind when you saw that scene? And do you think that this is connected to Palpatine's, his backup clones and all that?
Well, what's his stuff? Yeah, yes. I think we're gonna chat about that. Thanks, Blake. Appreciate it. I'll share my thoughts. I mean, I have to think about what really is Palpatine's goal. I mean, unlimited power is one of them. I do think he's interested in immortality. I really, I do. It doesn't seem obvious until you get into the sequels. I don't think he really talks about it much. He talks about it with Anakin in the prequels, but it's clear that he had interest in preserving his life for as long as possible. So when you talk about the plan B, I don't know that it's so much of a plan B in the sense that it's a replacement of a lesser plan, but I think it's just part of his overall plan. And did he see an opportunity with the clones? Did he, when the Jedi were wiped out, was he thinking, oh, what have I done? I have wiped out all the Jedi. I can't, their genetic material is no longer going to be available to me. I don't know. It's all really interesting. And Jim, you said earlier, you're looking at this stuff at at least in the Bad Batch, a superficial surface level.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. I was just talking about that one specific thing you had brought up about whether or not they were just being sloppy, or if they were.
Well, you seem to intimate that you seem to intimate that you didn't feel that maybe this show was going to go quite as deep into those places as we might hope in terms of connecting to all of this stuff. That's
well, I just fear sometimes the show plays it too safe.
Yeah.
But let's see how the season wraps up before we jump to any conclusions. But I don't ever look at, the show on a whole on a superficial surface level, and I never said that. So that's not, that's a superficial. I never even used that.
I'm sorry. You said surface.
About surface. That specific thing, because you were adding all this other story. Like, what if Nala Se had tipped off the Empire? That's viable stuff. I mean, I think that's great if that stuff actually does play out, and she's a backstabber in that regard. But that particular moment, I just thought that
I misunderstood.
Busted. They were being sloppy. They were being too open about it.
I misunderstood.
The Empire has eyes and ears everywhere.
All right,
that specific thing. And there was nothing superficial about that either.
All right.
Son of a...
Yeah, okay. All right. Jesse from Philly. Go ahead, Jesse.
Superficial.
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about, well, first of all, it was a great episode to watch. Like,
so good.
Beautiful. Like, coming down on the trees, that action shot.
An Endor vibe to me.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, can that guy Gregor take a fall or what?
Multiple.
I mean, he must have fallen 1,000 feet.
Yeah, Hunter was the one who fell.
Oh, Hunter. I'm sorry, Hunter. Yeah, I'm getting my clones mixed up now.
Yeah. No,
they all look alike.
Well, yeah, right. That's the issue. But I just wanted to talk about how interesting it is to hear about, like, the new troopers are getting trained by Commando troopers, and they can't shoot for anything. So I think that's interesting.
Well, he does say we didn't teach them all our tricks. That'd be pretty dumb.
Yeah, I guess you're right. So I guess those guys are holding back.
Yeah.
Or at least some of them.
Yeah.
But no, I just that episode was beautiful. Sorry, I kind of missed out on what you guys were saying earlier.
About?
Oh, in general.
Oh, well, we'll start from the beginning for you. Welcome back to Rebel Force Radio's Bad Batch After Show. We're taking.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans.
Fair enough. No, I guess that part of the episode was really interesting, and just seeing old Ralph McQuarrie art is it's nice to see that, like, live action into it and stuff, right? So that was really beautiful to see.
Well, it's
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's a similar way that they derived a lot of the designs for Rebels. They said, well, hey, look, we're going before the original trilogy, so why not dust off some of the old McQuarrie stuff? And there's actually a lot of it just seems to work. It seems to make sense because the McQuarrie concepts do look like previous iterations of the stuff that we would later see. So it's a great way to get some of those early concepts.
But I have to say that the progression of the Clone Trooper Phase 1 helmet into the Clone Trooper Phase 2 helmet, from Attack of the Clones into Revenge of the Sith, that helmet is really the perfect mashup of the original Clone Trooper helmet and the Stormtrooper helmet. So it just like made the progression so nice and clean. And then now to jump back to a McQuarrie helmet seems like they're going in a different direction. But that's just, that's really picking nits. I loved seeing McQuarrie Stormtroopers in this episode.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to mention about the fight, the blasters, right? With, the controversy. I honestly wonder if it's just the clones not wanting to start anything, right? Like they don't want to get word that like, hey, there's more clones shooting, so they're not trying to like start an international incident because this is peacetime, supposedly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's that, right? So that's the only explanation I can see for it. It is bothersome because it's like, what's the point of keeping them alive, right? Or if they're fighting, right? But, I could understand if it was their brothers. But when they took off like the TK people, like the helmet, and realized it wasn't a clone, I figured they would just start shooting them.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
right?
Yeah. No, I
understand. Like it's probably like they're like, well, we don't know who else is here, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, it's a good thought. Thanks, Jesse. But as we're pointing out, these are, this would be great to actually tell, with a line of dialogue or with a story moment.
Apply some context.
Yeah. No, that would be great. Let's see who else we got here. How about Matt from Los Angeles? Matt's a first-time caller. Welcome to the show.
Hey, chut guys. Jason,
chut.
What's going on?
Oh, doing all right. How are things in L.A.?
You know what? It's heating up, but it's been okay so far. But thanks for asking.
All right. So what's on your mind?
Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, so first of all, I just wanted to say one major thing I loved about the show, just in general, is how it's giving us these answers, these questions that us Star Wars fanatics have been pondering for ages. And this transition from clones into stormtroopers is just such a cool concept, such a cool idea. And I love the way they're unfolding it right before our eyes right here. And one of the things I really, really enjoyed was this little cameo that nobody's mentioned so far. I've seen the chat mention it, but of course you see these, new TKs being led by clone commandos. One of the commandos had some distinctive armor on him, and I think it's pretty much confirmed that this is Delta Squad member 6-2, aka Scorch, from the Republic Commando game.
Right.
And we saw him originally canonized back in season 4, I believe, of the Clone Wars. I believe was it the Monster episode where we get Savage coming in? What a cool cameo in general that we get to see a little bit of Delta Squad, the OG Bad Batch, in my opinion. Really get to step into this role, and we see that Scorch is still going along with the Empire. That's really interesting stuff. Like, a little heartbreaking to see almost that one of our heroes from the original game is still deep in the clutches of the Empire, but who knows? Yeah, what do you guys think?
Was he the one with the blue visor?
All the clones.
Yeah, so I believe all the clones have the blue visor, but this cat right here, he has like the yellow and gray markings, and he puts up quite a fight.
I just don't notice. I just don't notice that stuff at all. They all look alike.
Yeah, but it's from the game. The game's pretty popular, and it was just re-released right as the Bad Batch was debuting. And I've watched my son play it. That game just doesn't really look like a game I'd really have too much fun with. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of moving pieces, and but that doesn't mean I think it's bad. It's just not a game that appeals to me. I love watching my son play it though, and Scorch is one of the main squad that you're running around with throughout the video game. So that's cool. I just was excited to see the Clone Commandos, and I didn't realize they had snuck in a little Easter egg from the Republic Commando game, and that's really cool. This is the first time hearing it, so good pickup on your part,
right,
sir. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that
and
to
it's
our
just
attention.
one more implementation of this Legends content being sprinkled in
Right
by
on.
Dave Filoni, and gotta love seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Great. Yeah, I do like those Clone Commandos. Very cool.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Let's see. We got a couple more chat comments in here. Chris H. asking, how long do you think we will wait for Hasbro to get us the new Clone Commandos and the Ralph Stormtroopers in plastic? Not soon enough. I think we'll get the Ralph Troopers very soon because they already have them. They did one fairly recently, and it's super articulated. So they could very easily just bring that one back out. They might have to change some paint applications, but that's going to be fairly easy. The Clone Commandos, I don't know. Again,
they put those out as action figures, all of them.
But how long ago?
Well, it was a while. It was easily 10 to 12 years ago. Yeah,
when you get 10 to 12 years, they tend not to be re-releasable because they just don't look right compared, next to the ones, excuse me, the ones that are coming out now. So that would probably be a retool. And I don't know that they would invest that. Although they do like to invest in the retooling when it's a figure that they can repaint 150 times and re-release. Yeah. So
right, and that could be the case. And that's what all they've been releasing, at least, is 3 3/4 inch action figures are Clone Trooper repaints, Stormtrooper repaints, battle droids. They can do so much better than that. But Hasbro is really operating on the cheap these days, and it shows, and people are noticing.
Yeah. Ed wants to say, thanks for all you do. Love theme music for After Show. Okay. Well, I can't take any credit for that. No. Jimmy Mack is the one that found that for us. So, what else we got here? Eddie says it really feels like a season 2 is being set up. There is so much more story here. Yeah.
Agreed.
I think so too.
And I don't know if this is going to become a regular trend or anything with Disney Plus programming, but a season 2 for Loki wasn't announced until the credits following the season 1 finale. So that's when they made the announcement that season 2 was coming. So that might really start a trend where we won't be getting announcements in the traditional way via press release or whatever. It'll happen in the final episode of the season. That could be the case with Bad Batch. I find it odd we've not heard anything about a season 2.
I do too.
At this point.
I do too. 10 Cred Bay. I wonder what became of Clone Commando Delta Squad. We last saw them was retrieving dead Jedis in Clone Wars. What happened to Delta Squad?
Well, we apparently saw at least one member there, Scorch. So there are others perhaps still out there. Or they died on the battlefield. Who knows? I guess you got to play the game.
Javier. All right, mystery solved. Javier says I can't pass up a... you didn't have to super chat that, but you did anyway, and it's appreciated very much. Lastly, we got Louis Tully in here. No, not that Louis Tully. This one. A little off topic, was rewatching Attack of the Clones. Does Padme forgive Anakin too easily for the Tusken tribe slaughter? No, she hated Tuskens too. So she just thought it was totally, they're like animals. No big deal.
Yeah, they're just, he was just Slaughterhouse Anakin. What do you want from him? Maybe, hey, maybe it turned her on a little bit. I don't know.
Oh, don't go there. No, if you want a real answer, you have to tune into Rebel Force Radio. It's a good question. It would be great. In fact, we'll have an announcement coming up about a weekly live RFR coming up, I think, next month. And that would be great question and great fodder for something like that. Do want to keep it to the Bad Batch. And along those lines, we got Daniel from Australia. Oh, God, and I did that terrible Omega impression. Sorry about that, Daniel. Sorry that you had to hear that so late. No, so early over there right now in Australia. Welcome back to the show.
Good morning from the future again, boys.
Yes.
It's 11 a.m.
tomorrow.
Yeah, am I going to have a good day? Can you let me know? Will it be better than today?
Well, I don't know what the weather's like over there, but it's actually a pretty nice day here, getting into our final months of winter.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yep, I know you've got that. As soon as you get you've got your final months of winter. We've got our final months of summer. Ugh. That's brutal over here. Anyway,
as you're saying, it's not an Australian accent; it's a New Zealand accent. Omega.
Okay. Yep. You're right. Separate by several miles of ocean.
Yep. Yes. It's actually quicker for us to go to New Zealand than it is to go to the other side of the country for us.
Oh, wow. That puts it in perspective. That really
Unless
does.
you're on the other side of the country.
Well, true.
Yeah. Now, what I was calling in about, first of all, one of the other callers already sniped my Scorch reveal. As soon as they were on that lift going down, I went, that's Scorch. That's a Delta Squad member. What the hell's he doing here? I thought they were above that. The music cues all the way through that facility were just harken back to, as you guys were saying earlier, the Death Star.
Oh yeah,
and it was such deep musical cuts. I just loved that. But the other thing I noticed, and I don't know if any of other listeners have sort of put a finger on it. That facility reminded me a lot of the Wayland facility from the original Zahn trilogy.
Yep.
Head of the Empire, Dark Force Rising.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw it, that reminds me of...
book. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that facility, that reminds me of the Emperor's storehouse. I wonder if they're going to move those scientists and some of their cloning technology to that facility and make that the Emperor's storehouse where he stores all his goodies, all his secret tech.
Yeah, and his cloning cylinders and all of that. That's from the Heir to the Empire novel, Jason. And
I know what that is.
They actually raid that mountain outpost. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing you were, though. I mean, it's definitely a callback to that from the Zahn novel, having a fortress inside the mountain. Very cool.
Yes. And love the use of the McQuarrie stormtroopers. And I want to thank you guys for doing this on a Friday night for you guys.
We do it just for you.
It makes it a lot easier for me to call in.
That's why we do it.
A lot easier for me to call in. When you do it on a Saturday morning, it's like Sunday morning, 3 a.m. for me.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's sort of by accident that we ended up volleying back and forth between those two times, but I'm really glad that it happened because it does allow for a whole different group of folks to watch. Unless you're Peter Besser or Eric from Phoenix, you're here no matter what time. We could make it God knows what time, and they would be here. Love those guys too. But thanks, Daniel. Appreciate it. As always, great to hear from you when we do these shows on Friday nights. We've got first-time caller Luke from Minnesota joining us. Hello, Luke.
Chut, fellas.
Hey.
Chut.
Unfortunately, some of the guys before mentioned what I was going to bring up with the Delta Squad cameo with Scorch. I thought that was pretty cool because I played that game too. Another thing that I noticed in this episode, though, and it was kind of brought up in that last caller from Daniel, said the music reminded him of the Death Star, but it also kind of looked like the trench when they first got to the base and were starting to work their way down. I thought that kind of looked like the trench run a little bit.
It was definitely full of visual and audible references to episode 4. I mean, I loved it. It was almost, and I kept thinking to myself, like, well, I guess that what this base represents, we can likely assume that it's newer. So we're seeing emerging tech in the world of the Empire. They're starting to transition away from just using, the existing Old Republic stuff. So that's kind of cool to think about, and obviously the Death Star would align perfectly with that time period. and using that era of tick.
Tick.
And one other thing, Omega was flying the ship, and I was watching this with my brother, and I said, "She flies now. She flies now. She flies now."
That's funny. When I watched it, I said, "Yippee!" All right, let's see who else we got.
So what do we think about this cliffhanger here we're dealing with? I mean, do we think that Hunter is in dire straits? The episode left off with him being surrounded by troopers and then taken into custody and facing Crosshair one-on-one.
I got a twist for you.
Honestly, it's the showdown I've been waiting for. So we already know next week is going to kick off with a bang, knowing that those two are going to at least.
I've got a twist or a crappy theory that I'll throw out.
Sure, please. We accept both twists and crappy theories around here.
What if Crosshair, and this again has nothing to do because there's a distinction between blind loyalty to the Empire and Order 66, destruction of the Jedi, etc. What if Crosshair doesn't really like this idea of eradicating the clones? What if he has a proposition for Hunter?
Okay, all right. We've seen zero foreshadowing as far as this goes.
Zero, absolutely none.
He was featured at the beginning of this episode talking to Rampart, but that was just exposition stuff, you know.
Oh, yeah. It was very brief.
It really didn't reveal anything about his character or anything like that. So
Admiral Brian.
That would be a twist, but there's no foreshadowing for that twist. So
I've seen some in the chat. I've seen some in the chat say, "What if they re-implant his inhibitor chip and turn him into sort of a Manchurian Candidate type character?"
And then he confronts Omega.
But we have kind of seen this play out with Wrecker, so the beats would be very similar. Maybe more impactful because it's Hunter versus Wrecker, but still.
Yeah. Oh no, they turned his chip back on. Yeah, we better get Bailey down here for any more Omega impersonations because that was brutal.
Oh, here's Bryce from Southern California. That was my grandpa's name. Love that name. Bryce, welcome to Rebel Force Radio.
Chut. Hi, Jason. Hi,
hello,
Jimmy.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
Hey there.
Chut.
Good, Bryce.
Hey, shout out to Tyler. He likes Rebels just like I do. I got a Rebels tie-in here. It was season 2. There was an episode where 3 clones, the Ghost Crew stumbles upon 3 clones that are like hunting for some large animal in the sand or whatnot. And it's Rex, Gregor, and Wolf. And I was waiting for Gregor to show up and wondering where Wolf was. So what are the odds that we'll see Wolf in the last 2 episodes?
Pretty good. But
yeah, that would complete the retirement home there, wouldn't it?
It would. But we still have yet to unite Rex with Gregor, which we know will eventually happen.
I think that's going to happen in the next 2 episodes. I think Rex is going to come back in.
I think, we'll see Rex in the flesh, and I'd like to see some of those other cameos come into play here as the season winds down and give them a purpose.
Yeah, because you could have Cut LaQuaine, you could have Rex, you could have, maybe this is, like we were saying earlier, getting all these, and I was saying Sid and some of her, compatriots, but no, it probably makes more sense that it would be your Rex and your Cut LaQuaines. And
I wouldn't see Cut LaQuaine. He's family man, and he's walked away from the battle a long time ago. He doesn't really, I wouldn't say he's active at all in battle,
I guess
he's not really.
But they got the character model. Why not?
Yeah, well, they got the character model, sure. Or maybe, but I like, Sid and the Hammerhead. And sure, those guys should be there.
Right.
But some others would be nice, like a Hera and Chopper.
Yeah, I forgot about the whole Syndulla thing. Yeah, okay, there's enough.
Kids.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I got a quick request, now and later request. I don't want to take much of your time, but can you all at some point impersonate George Lucas giving feedback to Dave Filoni on his job at doing Bad Batch?
Yeah, let's. We'll think about that one. Thanks, Bryce. We'll look for that one in a future episode. I'm like Billy Mack. You can't just flip a switch. You can't just. You got to warm me up a little bit. All right, who else we got here? Chuck from Oregon, another first-time caller and a Patreon supporter. Great to hear from you, Chuck.
Chuck,
do you have anything you'd like to talk about other than Scorch? I'm kidding.
Yes, sir. Am I on?
You're on, man.
I am. Finally. Cool. What's up, guys?
Hey, how are you?
Oh, not bad. First time caller. I've never had a chance to get through, and I took my lunch break early today to talk to you guys.
All right.
Third shifter?
But what I want to talk about, when they're trying to escape after they get Gregor, which that was awesome to see Gregor.
Mm-hmm.
But when the thrusters and stuff are shutting down on the Marauder, like what I was kind of getting at was it gave me a little bit of the pod race feel when Anakin's having problems and he's trying to switch the power around. Like I kind of got that little vibe from it. And I just thought that was kind of cool. Like I don't know if you guys noticed that at all.
I'm sorry. I missed the for what part of the episode?
When they're escaping after they go and get Gregor out of the base.
Right.
Yeah, and when their thruster gets shot and they're starting to lose power and they have Gonki plug in and it just kind of reminded me of when like Anakin is like trying to switch all the power around on his pod racer and stuff. That's kind of what I felt from that. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah. Gonki. Gonki saves the day. I mean, he's just lumbering around, minding his own business. She just grabs him and plugs that cable into him, and
finally
away they
that
go.
thing served a purpose.
Right.
Finally, that thing served a purpose other than being, used for bench pressing by Wrecker or something for Omega to tinker around with. That thing actually came in handy. Have we ever actually even seen a power droid doing what power droids do? I don't ever recall seeing anyone actually use a power droid.
That's what I was wondering.
They plug their iPad into it or something to charge it up. Yeah. But I mean, those things they're batteries with feet, and so we saw it actually go to work for the first time that I can really recall. Somebody will prove me wrong if it happened before, I'm sure. But power droids are always there.
First time
but do we ever see them being used for their function? That's my question.
Interesting.
Not that I know. And also, do you think Gregor still has the chip because he seems to be acting normal, like the Bad Batch and everybody else?
Well, that's interesting. And we know that he has been through a lot of experience. I mean, even to the point where he had amnesia and he had lost any knowledge of him being a clone. He didn't even know what a clone was by the time Gascon and the D Squad met up with him. And so when they gave him his armor, then things started to click back. His memory started to come back.
Yeah.
But he's been through some serious trauma. And we see that he's kind of crazy in Rebels. Like he's definitely got a screw loose in Rebels. And we're seeing early effects of that here, I think, in Bad Batch. Because
That's
he was
what
being
I was about to
flippant.
get at. He kind of seems weird.
He seems goofy and weird. So maybe in that explosion that he experienced at the end of his story in the Clone Wars, missing in action, when he's in that big explosion at that separatist base, maybe that caused even more trauma to him. And
scrambled the eggs a little bit.
Goofy, and maybe
what if it fried the chip?
It dismantled the chip.
Oh,
it did something to fry out the chip because it was an electrical blast. It was like he was shooting these barrels that were exploding, but it was like an electrical burst when they'd explode. And so many of them exploded that maybe that fried out the chip.
Okay. Again, I don't want to be splitting hairs over this too much, but I think it's important to remind ourselves what was the catalyst of the split between Crosshair and the Bad Batch. And it was him witnessing Hunter disregard Order 66. That's what caused the break. So it's not so much that is the chip active. Well, if the chip at this point, unless, let's say the chip was active, I mean, unless Gregor witnesses the Bad Batch deliberately go against Order 66, I don't think there's going to be any real repercussions. I don't know. I mean, it is something that I've been wrestling back and forth with. What really is, we know what Order 66 is, but what really is it in terms of the consequences that it may have post Jedi annihilation? So if there's a Jedi in the room, unless there's a Jedi in the room, does Order 66 even matter in the chip?
But then the episode when they're removing Wrecker's chip before it happens, how he's saying that they're going against Order 66 and there's no Jedis, period, in that episode.
True, but he was a witness to he was a witness to Hunter's disregard, active, blatant disregard of Order 66. That's my assumption. So I don't know any more than you do, but that's just what I'm going with. Yeah. But you're right. I'd have to go back and watch that episode to see, well, what did Hunter, Wrecker clearly knows. I mean, he knows what happened. So who knows? I mean, it could be such a thing that if they sit down and they're just, catching up with Gregor over a game of Dejarik, and they're like, oh yeah, how'd this all start for us? Well, there was this Jedi kid, and Hunter didn't want to wipe him out, and then he's that could be it. That could be the moment when he snaps. But anyway, great call. Thank you so much, Chuck. It very, very much is. Let's go with
I'm noticing Steven Stanton is active in the chat, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Steven Stanton.
Hello,
in
Steven
the chat.
Stanton.
Here's another from Tancred Bay.
Steven says the next 2 episodes are going to answer a lot of questions.
All right.
Steven Stanton. Inside source. Our sources tell us that the next 2 episodes are going to answer a lot of questions. Our anonymous source, Steven Stanton, tells us.
Tancred Bay says, I feel like Rex would be more likely to lead a clone rebellion more than the Kaminoans. Thoughts? Yes. I don't see the Kaminoans leading a clone rebellion per se. I don't think they have the stomach for that kind of thing. Let's take a couple more and then we'll wrap this up. Great calls, by the way, everyone. Thanks so much. Let's see. Danny from Florida, first-time caller. You're on with Rebel Force Radio. Hello.
Hello. Hi. Chut, you guys.
Chut.
Hello?
Yes,
hey.
We're here.
Oh, yeah, great. Well, first off, my name is Danny, over from the Sunshine State of Florida. Hi, Jimmy. Hey,
other
Jimmy
guy?
and Jason.
Yep. Oh, thanks. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll keep it really, really short because I know we got a couple of other callers. But yeah, again, this episode just incredible. Everything you'd expect it to be from Bad Batch. And for me, I never had a problem with the previous episodes. I know that, and I know you guys have said this too, that oh no, these episodes were just filler, or they were an event, just one mission of the day of the week, or things like that. But given what happens in this episode, and maybe it's just the fan and also somewhat aspiring writer in me, I kind of feel like you had to have those moments of levity. So when you got to this episode, all of a sudden you're like, uh-oh, holy smokes, now things are getting interesting. Now things are like, uh-oh, okay, now I really am glued to my seat. because you really don't know what's going to happen now in this episode.
Right. I'm with you. And I was talking to my son about these Mission for Sid episodes, and he said, I kind of like them. They help you catch your breath before the next big adventure. And he's right. If you go back and look at the rhythm and release of these episodes, you'll note that the last Mission for Sid happened after that big 2-parter on Ryloth, and so you got to catch your breath after something like that. Just go on a mission with Sid, and then the final 3 episodes, it appears, are going to be pretty grand finale. So strap in. I was so impressed with this episode, and like all of you guys listening and watching and calling in, I mean, I think this is the episode we've been waiting for a few weeks now. This is where the stakes are getting high. The connection to the mythology on a whole, the Bad Batch mythology on a whole, is actually starting to flesh out now. What about who's their leader? Lama Su. What about Lama Su? They closed the doors. I thought we'd start hearing muffled blaster bolts behind those closed doors. It didn't happen. But what are they going to do with Lama Su?
Well, I think we can safely assume that.
You think he's dead?
Yeah, he's
just going to disappear.
Well, yeah.
He'll just disappear.
He's going to wear carbonite shoes.
Yeah, he died in a bizarre gardening accident. That's going to be the official word. No body was found.
The saddle on that flying dinosaur thing that he rides around on just happened to come unbuckled at the wrong moment. That's don't ask any questions either. You know
but I don't think we're going to see him anymore.
No, I don't think so either.
But I do want to see Nala Se, because she holds some very valuable information about Omega. So I predict we will be seeing her again at least.
Yes. I think she will definitely figure into something going on with I just see her striking a deal with the Bad Batch at some point that she's going to pop back into Omega's life. But
Things get pretty slippery on Kamino, and not just because of the rain. Hello.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here with us. Can't wait for next week. I mean, if you thought this episode and this discussion was a lot of fun, next week can only be that much more. So we'll be here. And please follow us on our social channels on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. But above all, when it comes to our live after shows, make sure that you are subscribed to the Rebel Force Radio YouTube channel. And you've got that notification bell checked. Should be gray if you're on a mobile device. I can't remember exactly what color it turns on a desktop, but gray is the way when it comes to getting those notifications. Big thanks to Tyler, our call screener. Tyler, great calls. You really picked some awesome ones this week.
Hey, those people speak for themselves, man. They're just really smart, and we have the best callers around, I think. So
I think
right
so,
on.
too.
Absolutely.
Anything you wanted to add about this particular episode? Did this one do it for you?
Yeah, just wow. This blew me away. I really loved it all the way through. And the one part that really hit me hard was watching Hunter fall. And, you know, it's because Omega's so small that she can't reach out to grab him. That really just hit me home. And, you know, I rewatched it and I kept thinking, okay, if they had brought Omega along, is she a strategist? Could she have organized this in a better way? And I don't know. I didn't come to a conclusion on that. But, you know, that really broke my heart to watch. And I'm excited to see how they resolve season 1.
Yeah, me too. Well, hey, 2 more episodes to go, buddy. Thank you so much for all you do for us here on these after shows. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Final
Tyler.
thoughts, Jimmy Mack, as we close out the first act of likely a 3-act finale to season 1.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed this episode, War Mantle. I knew it was going to be a good episode just from the title alone, because it had been teased earlier in the season, and I knew that this would bring together some of the loose ends from the beginning of the season, ramp up the mythology so we get a nice big finish to season 1 of the Bad Batch, and place these characters in some really tough situations. like Hunter is placed in this situation. You know, he's captive, face to face with Crosshair. These two have a lot to talk about. But I predict they won't be talking very long. I think action will erupt, and we'll see what happens with Wrecker. I start to wonder if all the characters are going to make it out of this season alive. You have so many members of the Bad Batch, it almost seems like one of them might be expendable. And that raises the stakes, because you don't know what's going to happen with these characters. There's no Bad Batch story beyond this.
No, but isn't that like crazy? We were just saying a couple weeks ago, I don't know, it's starting to feel like these guys are invincible, and they're, you know, there's no, you know, and now here we are saying, boy, could be any minute. So the show can really turn on you in a good way.
Might be wishful thinking, but I still want to see Darth Vader show up in one of these final 2 episodes. They have the character model for Darth Vader. He appeared in the final episode of the Clone Wars. Put him to use. And Baby Rancor, not in this episode.
All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Also, as Jim said, big thanks to Steven Stanton for hanging with us in the chat. Really appreciate it. And his scoop that the next 2 episodes going to answer a lot of questions. All right, we'll see you next time. For Rebel Force Radio, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mack.
And remember,
the Force will be with you, always.